What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to yet another preview. We just did one, but here we are again, which is good because we played Champions League football. We didn't play that last season, and it was a very boring, long, hard season to watch. But it's good that we play every 3 days, despite the injuries and so on. It's just a good feeling to know there's football every single week, and usually I like the idea of playing a couple of days, every couple of days basically, because if there's a bad result, you just have 2 days to sit on it basically, and then you go again and you have a chance to redeem yourself. However, this season so far, no quote unquote bad results, so it's just good vibes, and it's good. It's refreshing, but it is Champions League time. It's a different competition. I know Motta said in his presser it's the same, playing Champions League or Serie A. We will get into that in a second, which you can say that. I disagree. It's basically from a fan's perspective. It is a different type of vibe, and even the games are different than Serie A games, but we'll talk about that in a sec. It's just good that we are back again, and we can do something, I think, important. If you win tomorrow and you're sitting there with 9 points, it's a massive start for us. It really is a massive start, considering that you have Lille, Benfica, Aston Villa, and City still, and Bruges. It's a very good start, And on top of that, we play Inter on Sunday. That is the biggest game of our season, and we're gonna preview that and talk about that all week. But that's the biggest game of the season for us. Let's be real about it. And probably the measuring stick for a lot of people, where it's like, okay, where are we compared to last season when we play Inter? So it's also a good prep for that Inter game that's gonna come on Sunday, and it's gonna be massive for both teams, obviously. So that's for Saturday, obviously. Let's talk about Stuttgart, or let's talk about what Motta had to say ahead of that Stuttgart game. By the way, Stuttgart, who kind of play the same like last season. The difference is the results are not really there as they were there last season. That's basically the big difference with Stuttgart so far, because they still score a lot of goals, or like they create quite a lot. They play the same thing, the same style. However, they do concede quite a few goals, and they do not look as solid/dominant as they looked last season. But they're still the same team. The idea is the same. It's just the execution is not what it was compared to last season, but it's still early on. So, but yeah, Motta talked about it because we obviously play Stuttgart, but it is an interesting game. You obviously beat Leipzig away from home, another German team, and now we play a team who are doing worse in the league, but were better last season than Leipzig. You're playing them, and I think everybody just assume you're just gonna beat Stuttgart. We all I expect us to beat Stuttgart, but I think some think it's going to be quite easy. I think it's difficult. I think it will be more difficult than PSV. And I know PSV look like a better team in the league, the way they play, compared to last season, so on. But I think the Stuttgart tomorrow will be more difficult than the game at home against PSV, because I don't think Stuttgart are going to be that naive like PSV was at the stadium, where they just got blown out at one point because they kept doing the same things, and it was extremely naive. So I don't think Stuttgart are going to be like that. But he said we need to play a complete game. They are good with the ball, and in their pressing, when they regroup, their defense becomes difficult to break through. I like their approach to football, but these are the most exciting matches to play. We need to keep improving in every aspect, both in our game and mentally. We must be humble and focus only on the next match, adopting the right attitude and working together as a team to do the things the right way. So they do attack. They are a team that will open up, if you want to call it open up. They are a very disciplined team. However, I don't know if anyone watched Stuttgart last season and this season. I'm not going to sit here and say I watch Stuttgart every single week. I don't, I watched them last season more than this season, obviously, because it was a a longer season than the 7 games we're in right now. However, it feels like they're missing something. Not the quality. I think just the drive, or some few pieces are not filling in like they were falling into place like they were doing last season. But they are a disciplined team. It's just that there are moments where I think they have some blackouts here and there, which is costing them at the start of the season. They do press. That's what I was trying to say. They do press. Now, the thing is with us right now, so far we have coped with teams pressing us. I think the only one, the first half against Roma, I thought we didn't deal well with the press when the Roma did. However, in a normal situation, we cope well with teams pressing us. Like Lazio were trying to do that early on before the red card, and I'm gonna say 8 out of the 10 times we played out of the press. It was just at one point we kind of were a bit lost what we needed to do with the ball. But they do press. That's where our advantage should get in. Come into play. Where if they press, we should be able to play out from that press, and we have players who have quality enough to hurt them on the break. We don't have a Bayern, because somebody's saying Bayern type of players, but you have a Conceição back who will be key, because there will be room. If they press and you just play out of that press, there will be room. There will be quite a lot of room. There will. Now, I don't think they're going to be extremely naive and press us like madman, from minute 1 to minute 90. I don't think they're going to do that, but they are going to try to play their game, and they are going to press. There will be moments, it will be up to us, and I think in particular Conceição to absolutely take full advantage of that, because that's where I think the chances will lie for us tomorrow. That's what I think. Eddie's saying I will be at the match tomorrow. Do you live in Italy? Because you're going to a lot of matches, probably, I think, but enjoy. Should be a good game. The game will all depend on how the transition and on how we transition and press. Stuttgart in possession, run a 2-4-1-3. If we can win the ball back and counter quickly, we should score. Yes, like I said, if they press us and we can play out from the back, it will be good. Our press is... I don't think our press is intense. At moments it can be intense. It's just well structured. That's what I will call it. But if you go back to that first game, the first 2 games when we won the ball back and we punished the teams, we haven't really seen that, ever since to that extent. But Leipzig away, when we were down to 10, we were still pressing them. Winning the ball back for the Vlahovic goal, the second one, was because we were pressing. So we can still do that. But I think the transition will be definitely key for us. But let's move on to what else he had to say. Let me pull this one up. Here we go. Okay. He said we need to keep an eye on all the Stuttgart players collectively. They know what to do. We must fight to control the game, because Stuttgart plays well and involves many players in their attacking phase. That's what I was trying to say in a few minutes ago. They do press. They press with a lot of players, and when they go forward, they commit a lot of players, like a lot of players. That's where we need to be, like he said, focused to win that ball back and pick up the right passes. It needs to go quickly, because if it goes quickly, there's a ton of space, like a lot of space, when you watch Stuttgart games. We can't allow ourselves to be put in difficult situations. Stuttgart know how to operate on the field, and we need to steer the match in a direction that benefits us. Obviously, you always need to make sure that the game is being played on your terms. Now, if you play a Man City and you're not able to steer the game into your direction, be played on your terms, I think everybody can kind of accept that. But at home against Stuttgart, by the way, I'm not saying, it's just Stuttgart, you should be able to, stamp your authority and be like, okay, we are the team that are going to have possession. We're going to dictate play. And if you want to press us, and we will find a way to just play between those lines in transition and, punish you. So that's the basis. I don't think, like, if we play Stuttgart last season or any of these teams, we will be the team sitting back, even at home. We will not take initiative. This season, we are the team trying to play on the front foot. On the front foot, I'm not saying rock and roll football, Jurgen Klopp style, just claim possession, and we will take the game to you. So you need to do that. Obviously, when you play at home, that's always the goal. Even if you play Man City, if it doesn't work, fine. But the goal is you should be playing on the front foot in front of in front of your fans. To be honest, we'll talk about the starting lineup, and I do think I agree. I think Koopmeiners will be perfect for this game, but he's not there, and we need to accept that and move on. It's nothing we can do about it right now. It's just the other guys need to step up. That's it. That's always the case. Okay, now the big topic, because we talked about it for so many weeks, and even against Lazio, we struggle to break down teams who sit in a low block. And I know a lot of people say we're not the only team, and I agree. If a team sits back, it's not easy for any team to break them down. However, if you want to become a top club and teams start respecting you, that means teams are going to sit back. That's just the case. When teams play Man City, 90% of the teams are sitting back. And Man City find a way to break them down on a weekly basis. I'm not comparing us to Man City. I'm not saying we need to do it like Man City. But most of the time, they will find a way to break them down because they're just that dominant. They have 1,000 solutions, and they always find a way. That's what we need to do. We need to find a way that works for us, that doesn't need to involve a set piece goal or an own goal, or missing a tons of chances before we actually get the goal. We need a solution for this. It is what it is. We need to find something. Players need to maybe play a little bit better up front, making better decisions, moving the ball quickly. I don't know what it is, but yes, teams struggle. But we're talking for our own sake. If we play like Torino, come to the stadium, they're not gonna attack us. They're not going to attack us. They're not going to do it. If Udinese come to the stadium, they're not going to attack us. Like Genoa, these teams are just going to sit back. Even when you go against... what was I trying to say? Fiorentina at the stadium, they're not really going to go for it. They will go for it. But if they feel you're going to claim possession and you're going to try to bop us around, these teams are going to sit back, considering the position they are in the league. And it's their own good, right? But still, we need to be the guys finding a solution to break these teams down. He said we're not the only ones struggling against a team that sits back deep, basically. Everyone finds it challenging. Football is like that. That's why we need to give it our all, believing in our strategy and what we prepare during the week until the very end. He said there's no difference between the league and the Champions League. We must always have the same attitude. Every match is a story in itself with evolving strategies and situations. We need to be better than Stuttgart. Now, like I said, yes, we're not the only... teams do struggle if a team sits back. However, if, let's say 10 games... a team comes to the stadium for 10 games straight, sits back 10 times, and you struggle to break them down 7 times, that's called an issue. It is what it is. We need to be honest. If you struggle 2 to 3 games to break a team down, fine. It's one of these days. But it's more often than not, then it is an issue. And we need to find a solution. And I'm not saying, oh, you're doing a horrible job right now, because right now, where we are, I was not expecting this. At the start of the season, I was thinking we will be struggling a lot more. I put out a stat, or Opta put out a stat with the sequences of play, 10 passes, plus 10 passes, sequences of play, and we were top with Real Madrid. And people were joking, saying, a fake trophy, this football is not about stats. And I agree. However, that stat was just to point out the transformation this club, these players have had since 2 months, basically, of football, 2.5 months of football. That was what that stat was showing. It's not a trophy. It's not a stat that wins you something. It's not a stat that anyone is going to remember a month from now. But that stat, I'll put it out there because that stat, and maybe I should have specified it, that stat was just proving how we have changed as a club. The idea, the way we want to play, so on, compared to last season. It's massive. We are, in my opinion, ahead of the curve, and the curve I set out, for example. Maybe somebody else had a different expectation, for this start of the season. But for me, personally, I think we're ahead of the curve, So being ahead of the curve, I'm calm that we will find solutions. And with solutions, I mean we will be more composed to break these teams up. We will make it look much easier than what we are making it look out to be right now. Because right now it looks hard. Like we don't need to lie about it. It looks hard for us. It's as simple as that. And people do smash the like button because we only have 16 likes. I'll talk about the starting lineup in a sec. Undov, Demirovic, Miliot trio against our defense will be a handful. Our defense needs to be at the top of his game. No BS passes. Yeah, that's why I said it will be harder than PSV. I think that front three will cause us more problem. I watch Undov a lot because he played in the Belgian league. He's not one of the most gifted players. However, he is, I agree, a handful. He will go there and he will be in your face for 90 minutes. You know, even if he's having a horrible stinker game as a defender, because I've watched him basically every week for an entire season, even if he's having a stinky game, he's still always getting in there. He's making things very difficult for a defender, no matter what. So it will be a handful. I agree with that. 90% of the Serie A will park the bus, and they are very good at it too. Yeah, you know, that's the second part where he said Champions League. There's no difference between the Champions League and Serie A. I mean, he's a coach, and he knows more about football than any of us combined, but I disagree. Like, Champions League football is different. Like, teams are more open. Like, it's a different vibe. It's just what it is. I guess. Like, let's not kid ourselves right now, because in Serie A it is more tactical. It is more, we're just gonna wait, you know, and maybe we'll have that one chance. In Champions League football, that's not really the case, and especially not with this format. You know, with this format, I mean, maybe everybody's still searching in terms of like, what does it mean, the standing? Do we need to look at the standing right now? Maybe we need to wait until match day, I don't know, the latest match day, to see what is possible for us, you know, in the Champions League. But in general, it is different. It is more open. Now, they lost against Real Madrid. Actually, they play well against Real Madrid. I'm not going to lie. Because I wrote something down. I wrote a stat down, and for some reason I cannot find it. I lost it, which is not good, I guess. But they play very well against Real Madrid. I don't know if anyone watched that game. I wrote it down. I think they had like 15 shots or even more against Real Madrid, and like up to like they created a lot. They did create a lot of chances against Real Madrid, like a lot. I think that the GA was like almost 3 for Real Madrid and 2 for Stuttgart. I don't know. It was a weird stat-wise game, but if you watch that game, they played extremely well against Real Madrid. And at one point, you know, they lost that game very late as well. You know, they lost that game in the last, I don't know, 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know what it was. But up to that point, I think even Real Madrid fans were looking at it being like, yeah, they don't deserve to lose this game right now. But they still lost that game. I watched them against Prague as well. That wasn't a good game. I'm not going to lie. They weren't good on the day. I thought they got lucky a few moments where Sparta Prague, especially in the second half, should have potentially taken a few more chances. Yes, they had the possession, but that's obvious against Sparta Prague. But they weren't good. But against Real Madrid, that was a very, very, very good performance from them as well. I'll talk about the lineup in a second. Let me get this last quote out because I see people talking about Yildiz. He spoke about Yildiz because he's getting a lot of criticism. I think more so from fans rather than the media. And I've said that I don't think he's playing his quote-unquote best football. With best football, I'm trying to say it's not in your face. It's not flashy. It's not highlighting. You know, it's not that. However, even against Lazio, I thought he played well, and for some reason he got slated for that Lazio game and not for the previous games, which is very weird because I thought he had a good game against Lazio. If you look at the stats for the team, he is important for the team. Period. You know, he really is important for the team right now. It's just that it's not in the box. That's what it was. I think the first couple of games it was more so in the box or at the edge of the box. It looks more dangerous, what so on. Because I thought he got more freedom, and I think he spoke about that Malta said, I'm pleased with the work he's doing. He brings a lot of quality to his team. He's still very young, basically, was making an impact. And I'm satisfied with his performance, both as a winger and when he cuts inside, showing good defensive and offensive attitudes. As a winger, okay, cutting inside, I think that has been lacking the last couple of games. But I have a feeling he's been told to actually stick more to the wing. That's it. But if you look at the stats, for carries and passing and whatever you want to call it, he's important for the team still. It is what it is. And I think he will have a much better game tomorrow because I think there will be more space for him, and then he can do what he's best at. But right now, this is actually his full first season. Last season, he got a couple of games, then get benched, played a couple of games. It's different. Right now, it's pressure because you are the main guy, the main starter, and this is your first full season. So I was not expecting him to play week in, week out, 10 out of 10 games. That's it. That's what I was trying to say. So I think it's okay. I think we just need to be calm with Yildiz. It will come good because his qualities are undeniable. His qualities are just undeniable. The only game Stuttgart were impressive this season was against Real Madrid and Dortmund. Aside from that, they're as good as previous season. They conceded in every single game so far. Not as good as previous season, you mean? Yeah, against Dortmund, they were good. Didn't watch that full game, by the way, so maybe it was just that patch of game. I watched a part of the game. Against Real Madrid, they were extremely well. They were extremely good. Against Prague, I watched that game. I wasn't impressed, to be honest. And that's about it. What I watched from Stuttgart this season. I think, part of the Bayern game, but the score was so far gone that was kind of meaningless and pointless, to be honest. Motta needs to allow the left back to move up and free Yildiz. Maybe that's the solution. But I thought when Koopmeiners went down, I thought, okay, we're gonna use Yildiz more and we're gonna give him some more freedom to actually cut inside to an extreme level. But we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that, and maybe tomorrow we will see that. I don't know. But this far, I'm kind of surprised that we're not seeing that with Koopmeiners out. I really am. I really am. So I don't know if he will move the left back up a bit more. I don't know. I have a feeling that he's extremely pleased the way we play with our football, depending on who's going to play as well tomorrow. I think that's important for that comment, free up the left back. But let's see what Yildiz. It will come good. It's not horrible, by the way. It's not, he's having stinkers. I'm not like, stinkers is Douglas Luiz type of performances, against Leipzig and against Cagliari. Those were kind of stinkers. He's not having those type of games. It's just not, there are no highlights. I think that's what is bothering people more so. Then it's like in Bangula, when he played the previous game, there was no highlight and people came out, he had a stinker. He didn't have a stinker. There was just no highlight, but it wasn't a stinker. I think people go overboard when there's no highlight feed for a player, but that's cool, I guess. Let's move on. Let's move on to the predicted starting 11. Now, on the predicted starting 11, I've seen three predicted lineup, which tells me nobody really knows what's going to happen. What is going to happen, what we know, there will be changes in the lineup because we do play Inter on Sunday. Some players are playing a lot of games, even for the international team. They need some rest. The only player who cannot rest is Vlahovic because we do not have anyone else. So he's going to start every single game at this moment in time. In goal, Perin, Di Gregorio obviously suspended after a red card against Leipzig. Back to, or like the center backs, Kalulu and Danilo coming into the team. Apparently, Savona keeps his place. I know there was a debate about play Cambiasso and Cabal. Well, Cambiasso is apparently getting a rest, so Cabal keeps his place as well. I think deserved after that Lazio game. Fagioli, McKennie is fit enough, apparently. Douglas Luiz, so no Locatelli again. Conceição can play. He was suspended for Lazio, so obviously he goes back into the team. And Yildiz keeps his place as well. And then obviously Vlahovic, because we do not have another option than Vlahovic. So that is one of the predicted lineups. I've seen another predicted lineup where I saw Gatti start, and another one where I saw Cambiasso start. Now, the thing that has been consistent with all the predictions is the midfield and the front line. The only debate, something or like the disagreement certain journalists have with each other is the back line. It's Cambiaso, it's Gatti who's going to play, so on. Now, my 2 cents is he's going to play this. I think he will give Cambiaso a rest. I think he will give Cambiaso a rest, I believe. Is that team good enough to beat Stuttgart? It should be. It should be at home. Danilo, he came on, and I agreed. I did my match reaction. I said it. I thought he came on and he speed things up, and then Mota came out, and he confirmed that he played a very good game. So I'm not the biggest Danilo fan, but he should be okay. Like if we cannot trust Danilo to play a game here and there, then we are in massive trouble this season because we do not have a lot of options. So he should be fine. Cabal keeps his place. This is a different type of game. This is a team that will attack you, which means that I'm gonna need to see you being defensive solid, which wasn't really the case against Roma. That's why you got hooked at halftime as well. So this is gonna be a massive test for Cabal. This is not Lazio sitting back and basically offering absolutely nothing defensively. Yet really nothing to worry about. This is a different animal, so that's going to be interesting. And no Locatelli, that's a statement. I think Motta is looking for Fagioli to replicate that Leipzig game. I think we're all expecting that from Fagioli. So another big test. The McKennie one is interesting because if he's fit, I think he deserves to start right now. Obviously, I'm not going to debate that, but I'm a bit surprised if he is completely fit. And then Douglas Luiz, which I don't think he's really going to play number 10. I don't think he's going to play in the 10 position. I think he will interchange a bit with Yulis. I think he will move Yulis more into the 10 tomorrow, and maybe push up McKennie a little bit, and I don't think Douglas Luiz is good as a 10. I think he's better as an 8, but again, the point is he's getting another shot, Douglas Luiz, on a bigger stage than Lazio. Show us that we are all wrong and we cannot really criticize you. I'm gonna say so. This is a big chance, and then obviously Conceição was back. I think that's a relief for me especially, but for a lot of people because we did miss him against Lazio. Somebody who actually runs at people and not like a Timothy Weah who refuses to do that. Like Timothy Weah kind of reminds me of Cuadrado's last season, where he stopped at one point and just passed it back, and I was like, this is pointless. You can ask every single random player to do what you're doing. It's not offering much. So that is a predicted lineup. Cambiaso deserves a rest. I agree. Not happy with or not content with Luiz in there, but perhaps he's more suited for Europe because he's definitely not cutting it in Serie A. Let's see. It's another big chance for Douglas Luiz to prove himself and prove everybody wrong. So I'm disappointed with Locatelli. After a few good games, he's going backwards again. Yes. Yeah, he took a few steps back. It's not as bad as last season. I don't know what it is, but he got benched against Leipzig, benched again, and then came like against Cagliari. I don't think that was impressive as well. Against Lazio, I wasn't really impressed as well. And I know if you bring in Fagioli, it's a different type of player. It looks different, but he's not playing as well as he was at the start of the season. I agree, But Mota not picking him is kind of telling as well. I'm not gonna lie, But yeah, time for prediction. So put your predictions in the chat. I thought about it quite a lot, and I went back and forth with it, but I'm going with 2-1. I think we're going to win. I do think we're going to concede because I think in Europe, despite Mota saying it's no difference to the Serie A, I think it is. Teams will attack you and you will have the tendency to go for it a bit more because there is more space, and then evidently you will leave more openings as well. And I don't think that's going to be the case when you play Man City because you're going to adapt to, being more attentive. But I do think we're going to win, and we definitely need to win. I think it's going to be more difficult than PSV. I'm 1,000% convinced about that because I do believe in Europe, they will offer more than a PSV, to be honest. And actually, which is crazy, if you look at the table, I do think they're a better team than Leipzig. I do believe that, but the table says something else. However, 2-1. For me, Hanina saying 3-1, 2-0, or 3-0. 3-1, Dusan Brace. I think 2-0 considering the Inter game. 4-0. No Danilo. Well, he's playing. He's playing. So I think everybody's fairly confident, and we should be confident. Like, there's no need to be, oh, maybe we're not going to win. At one point, we might not win a game, and it could be tomorrow. However, there's no proof, there's no signs out there that right now we should be worried of not beating Stuttgart. We should respect them because I've watched them against Real Madrid, and they can be a handful. They can be very tough to beat. Like, we shouldn't lie about that. However, from the start of the season until now, I think we have every right to be confident and say we're going to beat Stuttgart at home, and prep for that Inter game, which is going to be the biggest game so far of the season, and probably the game everybody's looking forward to actually measure ourselves to say, okay, we can actually do something in the league this season, or nah, we're still a bit off Inter and maybe Napoli. But we play Napoli, and I cannot say we're off Napoli. But that's something we will talk about during the week as well. But this is it. This is. How scared am I about Danilo starting? Well, I said it a couple of minutes ago. I'm not scared. He came in, he did well. If, like I said, it's a long season. If I need to be scared for Danilo to play games here and there, then we're not gonna survive this season. So I have full trust in Danilo to play a good game. I have full trust. If he plays and Cambiasso doesn't play, he will wear the armband as well. But I'm not worried for Danilo tomorrow. I want to be good. I'm not the biggest Danilo fan, but I think if he plays tomorrow, I think he will play a good game. So, not worry. We have Milan to thank for the season. Imagine Bremer's injury without a Kalulu. Yeah, we probably would have signed somebody else than Kalulu, but who and how would he turn out to be? Nobody knows, But right now, it's good that we have Kalulu, actually. Like, it's a gift. It's a gift. But yeah, people, that's it. That's a preview. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back tomorrow for a match reaction, and then Wednesday for a live show, and then we will build up to Inter, which is on everybody's mind, to be honest. I woke up today and I was like, we play Inter on Sunday, and then my second thought was, okay, we play Stuttgart tomorrow. But I hope the team is not doing that, because tomorrow is important. If you want to go through in the Champions League and maybe in the first or in the top 8, then you need to beat Stuttgart tomorrow, and you take a massive step towards that as well. It's early, but 9 out of 9 points with still having Benfica at home and Man City. It's a massive step ahead. We still have some games, Lille away, Aston Villa stuff, so it's a massive step. But that's it for me, people. Like I said, like, subscribe, and I'll speak to you guys.